On January 14th, 2018, Jordan Turpin escaped through the window of her home at 5 a.m. and ran away down the neighborhood. She was shaking uncontrollably, grasping on an old cell phone her brother had, and proceeded to dial 911. The dispatcher picks up.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
I just ran away from home. I live in a family of 15, and we have abusing parents. Did you hear that?
Okay, how did they abuse you?
They hit us, they throw us across the room. They yank out our hair. I have my two little sisters right now are chained up.
Okay, I'm going to connect you to the sheriff's department so that they can help
What?
you. One moment, don't hang up.
A deputy arrived to meet up with Jordan wearing a body cam and asked some clarifying questions. Are you on medication? What is medication? She reiterated that her parents have chained up her sisters because they stole mother's food. If they noticed her missing, they will definitely cover it up. The bewildered deputy asked if she had any pictures to prove these claims, and immediately she says, "Yes, I do." She didn't at first, but her sister told her to take pictures as evidence. "Make sure you save that, okay?" he told her. At 7:23 a.m., police arrived to the Turpin house. They knocked on the door for over 2 minutes, and then it opens. The mother and father peek out. "Hello, we got a call to do a welfare check here." A warrant wasn't needed because children were in danger. Immediately, the mother began to breathe heavily. Both confused, the deputies enter the Turpin house. What they witnessed inside was one of the strangest cases they've ever come across. The atrocious smell of human feces, trash everywhere, food covered in mold, dead pets, and that was just the environment they were in. The Turpin household had a total of 13 biological children, 3 of which deputies saw with their own eyes chained to their beds. They thought the siblings were all mere kids, but over half of them were already adults. The youngest, a 2-year-old, and the eldest, 29. Every single one of them looked extremely malnourished, had bruises all around their bodies, and they were covered in dirt. Deputies immediately arrested the parents. Louise Turpin exclaimed, "Is that what this is about?" "Well, that's part of it," a deputy responds. All the siblings were then transferred to a hospital where they were fed and taken care of. The first time any of them felt any freedom and security. David and Louise Turpin, charged for abuse, torture, and false imprisonment of their children and dependent adult. They had many children because in their religious beliefs, God called on them to do so. The Turpin family had moved several times, from Fort Worth, Texas to Rio Vista and to Paris, California in 2014. They were actually deciding to move once again, and that's when Jordan Turpin knew she had to escape and call the police. Aside from their neighbors growing suspicions of their mostly invisible family, the public saw the Turpin household as a fun family, seeing pictures of them at Disneyland and other social events on Facebook. Upon moving to California, David Turpin registered his homeschool named Sandcastle Day School. It was quite simple, really. There were no requirements to submit assessments of their academic progress or show any evidence of homeschooling. A cruel and manipulative tactic, as their children literally had zero education, resulting in an extremely limited vocabulary, and combined with their isolation from the outside world, made it seemingly impossible to report their situation to authorities, let alone escape it. The kids were allowed to eat only once a day and bathe once a year. They would be chained to their beds up to 2 months at a time, only let go to brush or use the restroom. However, if the situation was urgent, they would end up defecating and lay in their filth until it was cleaned up at a later time, hence the atrocious stench of the house. Furthermore, the parents taunted and tormented their kids by leaving out pies, boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts, and candy to tempt them. However, if any dared to grab it, they would be chained to their beds immediately and beaten. The food would never be eaten either. It was just left to rot inside the box. What they were permitted to eat and survive on, peanut butter and bologna sandwiches. The eldest child, 29-year-old Jennifer Turpin, weighed a shocking 82 pounds. And Louise's terrible excuse on not feeding her kids pointed to fears of her family's medical history with diabetes. On February 2019, David and Louise Turpin, after over 2 decades, were finally sentenced for their malicious acts, guilty to 14 counts of torture, abuse, and false imprisonment of their children and dependent adult. David Turpin was also charged with perjury with the California Department of Education for asserting that his children were being educated in their home school. In court, they continually said their behaviors were because of their religion and that God called on them to do these actions, and they never intended to hurt their children. Both parents were sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.